Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Alliant Energy Center Expo Center for this, the first bout of Mad Rollin Dolls' 12th season. I am Rich Mahogany.
And I'm Dolly Pardon Me. Thanks for coming out, y'all.
We have a very exciting night of roller derby for you tonight. First off, our first bout tonight is going to be between the Quad Squad and our reigning champions, the Reservoir Dolls. Well, and without further ado, I would like to turn things over to Critical Tits of the Mad Rollin Dolls for a derby demo.
Hello.
Oh, there you go.
You're on, Tits.
My name is Critical Tits. I'm here with the lovely Mad Rollin Dolls. We are Madison's recreational roller derby team, and we're going to show you a little bit about how this game is played. A roller derby game consists of two 30-minute halves made up of shorter periods called jams. 5 skaters from each team skate in each jam. These players are divided into 3 positions. At the front, we have the pivots and the blockers. All together, they form the pack. At the back, we have the jammers. These are the skaters that will be scoring points. They're easy to spot with a star on their helmets. When the refs blow one whistle, it signifies the start of the jam, releasing the pack and the jammers. The jammers try to make their way through the pack, helped by their own blockers and hindered by the other blockers. The blockers are not allowed to use their arms or elbows to stop the jammers, and the jammers cannot cut track around the blockers. These or any other illegal moves will land the skater in the penalty box for 30 seconds. Oh look, the blue jammer is out of the pack. The first jammer to legally get out of the pack obtains lead jammer status. The refs identify the lead jammer by pointing one arm at the jammer with the other arm in the air. Now the yellow jammer is out of the pack as well. She is not the lead jammer, but can still score points. The jammer ref crosses his hands in front of him to indicate that the yellow jammer is not the lead jammer. On the second pass, the jammer scores points for every opposing skater she passes. The number of points scored are signaled by the jammer ref. When she's had enough, or to prevent the other jammer from scoring, the lead jammer can call off the jam by placing her hands on her hips. The 4 whistles end the jam. 30 seconds later, a new pack will enter the track and we start the next jam. Simple enough? Let's try the real thing.
Thank you very much, Tits. Thank you to the Mad Rollin Dolls for that wonderful derby demo. And now, without further ado, let's introduce our teams for the first match of tonight's festivities.
That's right, Rich. It's my pleasure to introduce to you last year's season champions and this year's Reservoir Dolls. Skating in number 1213, Knocking J. Number 18, Full Frontal Judity. Number 185, Supernova. Number 27, Blitz Siren. Number 270, Slionide. Number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha. Number 33, Charlie Hustle. Number 333, Tenacious D. Number 4, Mouse. Number 565, Glockness. Number 5, oh, the Heat. Number 8, Sasspot. Number 9, Shenanigans. Number K155, Lip Smacker. W01F, Call It a Wild. And helping out on the bench tonight for the Reservoir Dolls, we have Hopscotch, Dutch Oven, Wipeout Scout, Jean Lane, Busta Crimes, and Sproutin' a Tail. Let's hear it for your Reservoir Dolls.
And now, of course, we have their opponents for tonight's bout. It is my pleasure to introduce to you your Green Machine.
In a world where chaos reigns on the flat track, one team stands ready to protect honor and integrity, and to fight evil on 8 wheels. From the 4 lakes to the furthest reaches of the universe, your team of roller derby superheroes, the Quad Squad.
All right, first off, we have number 0I, Gouda Riddance. Next up, number 141, Hammer Abby. Number 18 feet is Alligator. Number 1904, KY Julie. Number 215, Booty Collins. Skating her rookie season with the Quad Squad, number 32, Crystal Ice. Number 51 is Brokeback Jack. Number 52, Sequin Destroyer. Number 5388, it's Dark Horse. Number 6x9, Girl Friday. Number 7, When Do You Wanna Die? Number 796, Conan the Librarian. Number 80 is Thrill Show. Number 86, Guacamole. Number 906 is Super Youper. And number 918, Pied Piper. The Quad Squad is supported on the bench by Kate Silver, La Biblioreca, Battle Frog, Mac the Knife, Kentucky Fried Carnage, and Stevie Kicks. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2016 Quad Squad!
And I'd also like to introduce our officials for the evening, without whom these skaters could not be enforced to play the game of roller derby. The skating officials for tonight are Eddie Lizard, Stabby McDudebro, Johnny Z, Howie Swerve, Bjorn to Kill, Chaotic Neutral, Thaco, Uno Mas, and YI Otter. Non-skating officials are Mac, Misinformed, Modus Pawns, Squeaky Fromage, Brazzle Dazzle, Dread Gazebo, Mr. Welch, Cordova, Death Nelly, Agru, Jezebel, Diaphragm, and Strife of Riley.
And now we would like to ask you to please stand, if you are able, and remove any headgear as we turn things over to Megan Rose, Kelly Maxwell, and Annalise Howell for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you very much, Megan Kelly and Annalise.
Great job, ladies. Thank you to our local musicians there, Megan Rose, Kelly Maxwell, and Annalise Howell. And now it's time to get to some derby action, our first bout of the 12th season. Who's ready out there to see some derby? All right, fans out there cheering for the Quad Squad. We've got Jammer Hammer Abby on the track. Those of you cheering for the Reservoir Dolls, Lady Hoo-Ha is jamming for them. Starting us off on the jammer line. Tonight's jammer line sponsored by Monkey Bar Gym, where derby girls work out to be strong enough for derby.
With that whistle, we are into the action. Lady Hoo-Ha looks like she's gonna break through first, taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls.
Hammer Abby still fighting her way past a couple of the Reservoir Dolls in the front of the pack. She is through the pack as well. Both jammers eligible to score points now. Lady Hoo-Ha hitting the pack. Coming around the outside and calling off the jam.
It looks like Lady Hoo-Ha picked up 4 points on that last pass just before calling it off. So that is a good little jam there to start off things for the Reservoir Dolls, bringing up their score to 4 points to the Quad Squad 0. Coming up next to jam, looks like we're going to have Shenanigans jamming for the Reservoir Dolls.
And on the line jamming for the Quad Squad, it doesn't look like we have a jammer out there. Oh, she's over there on the inside. It's Thrill Show. She fooled Dolly, but can she fool the Reservoir Dolls and get through that pack? She fights her way up to the inside. Tries to take an outside line. Shenanigans taken to the inside by the Quad Squad blockers. And it looks like Thrill Show is through the pack and your lead jammer for the Quad Squad.
Yep, Shenanigans, the jammer for the Res Dolls there, did end up picking up a penalty, so she's going down to the WORT Back Porch Radio in Madison penalty box, where she will remain for 30 seconds. For the next 30 seconds, the Quad Squad will have a power jam, meaning their team is the only team with a jammer on the field able to score points.
And Thrill Show taking advantage of this power jam. She gets through the pack, fighting past the last Reservoir Doll, Charlie Hustle, on the outside there, picking up 5 points and a grand slam for the Quad Squad.
So you can see here the Quad Squad sticking towards the back of the pack, slowing things down, making sure the pack doesn't move. That way their jammer Thrill Show has the least amount of distance to go around the track to get back around to the pack and start scoring points.
Knocking Jay Blitz, Siren, and Charlie Hustle up in the front, trying to hold back Thrill Show. Doing a good job knocking her back and forth. Meanwhile, Shenanigans out of the pack, out of the penalty box and through the pack. Not lead jammer, so Thrill Show does decide to call off the jam before she gets around and scores any points. That brings the Quad Squad with another 5-point grand slam up to 10 points. Reservoir Dolls at 4. And it looks like we'll have an official timeout here. A team timeout. Quad Squad calling a team timeout. We'll see what happens with that. Meanwhile, we want to tell you WORT, or Back Porch Radio in Madison. Tune in any time of the day or night to hear great alternative music. And if you're looking for some more community fun after tonight's bout, WORT is celebrating their 40 years on the air with their birthday bash tonight, which is right now in progress at the High Noon. So the party goes until closing with a special after 9 p.m. ticket, including 3 rock bands, Modern Mod, Cowboy Winter, and White Mystery, plus birthday cake, all for $10. So check out WORT's birthday celebration at the High Noon Saloon. Also, another good time to remind you, tonight our after party will be at the Vintage Brewing Company. Check it out with us after the bout. But it looks like now we're ready. Okay. We're ready to get back to the action, but that was an official timeout clarified for us there by Eddie Lizard. Thank you, officials, for making sure everything's working out right here at the bout.
Yep, it is my understanding that there was a penalty issued because there was a bench manager talking to the skater who is in the penalty box, which in roller
that might
derby
be a
is a no-no.
That's right.
So we are getting back down to the action. We have Hammer Abby up jamming for the Quad Squad against Mouse for the Reservoir Dolls. Hammer Abby getting through, taking lead jam for the Quad Squad.
Mouse having a little trouble around that first turn there, held up by the Quad Squad blockers. I believe Alligator held her up. Meanwhile, Hammer Abby through the pack, 4 points for the Quad Squad and calls it off before the Reservoir Dolls jammer can make any points there. So 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls, 14 for the Quad Squad.
And we do have another timeout on the track, so we'll get back to the action in just a moment. If you'd like, take a moment, get down to the Dairyland Dolls table towards the entrance, buy yourself a wheel for the wheel toss.
And while you wait, fans, we're just getting some things figured out with our scoreboard. How many of you out there tonight are cheering on the Reservoir Dolls? Let's hear it for the Reservoir Dolls.
And how about the fans out there who are cheering for the Quad Squad?
How many of you are superheroes? We're gonna get you right back to the action with Lip Smacker jamming for the Reservoir Dolls up against Sequin Destroyer from the Quad Squad. And the jam starts. It looks like Sequin played a little bit of defense there, getting her blockers in line to hold up Lip Smacker. She gets knocked down in turn 1, but right back up and out of the pack.
She is lead jam for the Quad Squad. However, Lip Smacker for the Reservoir Dolls is also out of the pack and hot on her heels.
That's right, the first jammer to get lead jammer status has the ability to call off the jam, which is just what Sequin Destroyer did right there, putting her hands on her hips, calling off the jam so she can get some points before the other team jammer gets any points. It looks like both teams no points on that jam, so we're gonna stay at Reservoir Dolls 4, Quad Squad 14.
And the Quad Squad did a good job of opening up there, allowing their jammer to get through. However, the Reservoir Dolls defense was too strong. Probably a good call to call off that jam. Try again with the next one to put up some points on the board. And that's exactly what Hammer Abby is going to do as she's jamming for the Quad Squad, jamming up against Shenanigans for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Shenanigans is stuck in the back of the pack by a Quad Squad wall or triangle, circle there, some sort of shape. Meanwhile, looks like Hammer Abby breaking her way through the Reservoir Dolls pack in the front. She gets out and she is lead jammer for the Quad Squad.
As she approaches back around the back of the pack, she jukes around, knocking Jay there. Looks like she's gonna find a hole on the outside, picks up 4 points, calls off the jam.
And that's 4 more points for the Quad Squad before the Reservoir Dolls can get any more points on the board, bringing them to 18 points.
That's right, currently Reservoir Dolls trailing by 14 points. However, there is 24 minutes remaining in this first half, and really 14 points is not a lot of points in a roller derby jam. We can see that turn around in a single jam.
That's right, it doesn't take a whole half for the team to get back from 14 deficit. And now on the jammer line, we've got Mouse for the Reservoir Dolls. She's jamming up against Gouda Riddance for the Quad Squad. Gouda Riddance up in the front fighting against Full Frontal Judity and Call It a Wild. They knock her to the outside and recycle her to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, it looks like Mouse getting called off of the track for a penalty. She'll be headed to the penalty box.
Yeah, that looks like that's going to be a forearm penalty, so that's 30 seconds that she's in a box, giving a power jam to the Quad Squad.
And that's Gouda Riddance with a power jam there, sneaking around the outside, picking up 5 points and a grand slam for the Quad Squad. We've got Minnie of Madison sponsoring our grand slam tonight, and Gouda Riddance slamming right into one of the Reservoir Dolls there. It looks like that was knocking Jay in the back of the pack. No penalty called, but she does get knocked to the outside, forced to recycle to the back of the pack.
Yeah, that's right. Once a skater knocks you out of bounds, provided they are an opposing skater, you have to re-enter the track behind them. So that's why you'll see a skater knock somebody out of bounds and then quickly skate backwards to get them as far back, making sure they have to go as far as they can before getting more points.
And Gouda Riddance, good strategy for a jammer there, getting back and in the pack, making sure she picks up all 5 points of her Minnie of Madison Grand Slam for the Quad Squad. She's around the track again and on the inside finds a hole, another 5-point Grand Slam for Gouda Riddance of the Quad Squad.
Mouse is back out of the penalty box on the track. Looks like she took a little slide onto the inside, had to recycle back, finds a hole on the outside line in the pack though. So with that, she has completed her initial pass. No points there for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Gouda Riddance, the lead jammer there, calls off the jam after another point-scoring pass through the pack. Gouda Riddance doing a great job with the Quad Squad on the track there, bringing their points to 38, keeping the Reservoir Dolls at 4. Great job by the Quad Squad, both their jammers and their pack, doing a good job holding back the Reservoir Dolls jammer while allowing their jammer to get through. Reservoir Dolls on the track now. They have Lady Hoo-Ha jamming in black and white up against KY Julie for the Quad Squad.
Lady Hoo-Ha fighting up against some Quad Squad blockers there. Crystal Ice and Brokeback Jack. She does get through. Lady Hoo-Ha, your lead jammer.
And that's just what the Reservoir Dolls need, is a little turnaround here, getting lead jammer status. And Lady Hoo-Ha through the pack, which looks to be just made up of 3 Reservoir Dolls, and Brokeback Jack there being called off the track but sent back to the track because too many skaters were in the penalty box. Lady Hoo-Ha making her way through the pack again, but
Yep, Lady Hoo-Ha called out on what looks like a back block penalty, so she is awaited in the penalty box.
And that'll give the Grand Slam back to the Quad Squad. KY Julie, not lead jammer, but she has time now to pick up some points for the Quad Squad while Lady Hoo-Ha sits in the WORT penalty box. Reservoir Dolls up to the front of the pack playing defense. We've got Lip Smacker, but KY Julie just slipping past her on the inside there, making her way around the track for a Grand Slam, 5 points.
And you could see her there, KY Julie, trying to call off the jam as she got through the pack. However, since the lead jammer went to the penalty box, that does mean we no longer have a lead jammer in this jam, and it will go the full 2 minutes.
Both KY Julie and Lady Hoo-Ha now in the pack. Oh, Lady Hoo-Ha knocked down KY Julie, falling over top of her. Both skaters getting right back up though, skating around and trying to get through the pack.
Yeah, after that little jammer pile, looks like Lady Hoo-Ha is going to be called out on a penalty just at the end of that jam.
And a lot of action in that last jam. It looks like a timeout to discuss some of that action. We'll make sure we've got enough points on the board for both teams. We've got all the penalties assessed correctly, but it looks like Lady Hoo-Ha picking up 5 points that jam. Meanwhile, KY Julie picking up 10 for the Quad Squad, bringing them to 47. Reservoir Dolls at 9.
We would like to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, the Ale Asylum. Ale Asylum, brewed and bottled in Madison, fermented insanity. If I'm not mistaken, they are selling their Hopalicious over at the bar there.
They are, Rich, and it's delicious. So check out some Hopalicious made by Ale Asylum at the concession stand. And also check out our merchandise table, Rich. They've got lots of great stuff over there, and you can buy a shout out at the merch table. The announcers here will read your shout out to the audience, and that will support our Bout charity tonight. Our Bout charity is Try for Schools, a nonprofit devoted to ending childhood obesity in Dane County. Please support them with your shout outs to be read over the microphone. Check it out at the merch table. Also get one of these great programs. Season programs are available at the merchandise table. It's got all your favorite skaters' pictures in there, all of your rules knowledge that you need, and upcoming bout information and how to get tickets, all that good stuff in your bout programs. And it looks like we're going to get back to the action shortly here. And Rich, we haven't had too much in terms of point scoring on the Reservoir Dolls. It looks like Lady Hoo-Ha scoring all of the Reservoir Dolls 9 points. Gouda Riddance with 19 points for the Quad Squad, and Thrill Show with 10 points for the Quad Squad, as well as KY Julie with 10 points, and Hammer Abby with 8. So the Quad Squad's really doing a good job of spreading their point scoring around to multiple jammers, while the Res Dolls are just being, I think, shut down by the Quad Squad defense, in that the Reservoir Doll jammer is not getting out and getting lead jammer status as often as the Quad Squad jammer. So we'll see how that shapes up.
Yeah, it looks like we are ready to get back down to the action. Reservoir Doll jammer Lady Hoo-Ha sitting in the penalty box. That gives Quad Squad jammer Sequin Destroyer a power jam to start this jam. Looks like she is going to get knocked out to the inside, recycled to the back. Going to re-engage a full force of Reservoir Doll's defense.
Oh, and she sneaks through on the inside line there with a little turnaround, and Sequin Destroyer is lead jammer for the Quad Squad. She'll approach the pack now on her point scoring pass. Fighting again against a wall of Reservoir Dolls up in the front.
However, in the meantime, it looks like that penalty box, sponsored by WORT, has emptied. Both packs are at full strength. Sequin Destroyer through for a 5-point grand slam.
That's right, Sequin's first 5-point grand slam for this jam, and she does a great job of turning around on that inside line, trying to get on that inside line, gets knocked to the inside there, and the jam ends. Sequin Destroyer with 6 points for the Quad Squad, bringing their total to 53 points. Scoring a Minia Madison Grand Slam, which gives me a chance to thank Minia Madison, world famous go-kart handling and premium quality. Keep it mini at 310 West Beltline Highway. Jamming for the Reservoir Dolls now, we have Mouse on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line up against Hammer Abby from the Quad Squad.
Mouse tries to find an inside line to get through, met with further resistance from the Quad Squad. She does manage to get through, but not before Hammer Abby has taken lead jam for the Quad Squad.
Both jammers approaching the pack, eligible to score points. Hammer Abby pushing through the pack of Reservoir Dolls, calling off the jam and picking up 4 points for the Quad Squad. Shutting down the Reservoir Dolls jammer. Quad Squad with 57 points, Reservoir Dolls at 9.
Yeah, Quad Squad really rocking that hit it and quit it scoring strategy, where they get lead jam, get through, get their first round of 4 points, and just calling off the jam, helping to keep the Res Dolls locked down at that low point score right now.
And lining up on the jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls now, we've got Charlie Hustle in black and white going up against Gouda Riddance in green for the Quad Squad. Gouda Riddance stuck in a wall of Reservoir Dolls in the back. Meanwhile, Charlie Hustle getting out of the front of the pack, Charlie Hustle is your lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls.
Looking back at the pack, looks like Quad Squad jammer Gouda Riddance still fighting against that Reservoir Dolls defense.
And that's a natural grand slam. Charlie Hustle making it around the track through the pack and passing all of the blockers as well as the jammer for a Minia Madison grand slam. 5 points for the Reservoir Dolls, just what they need to decrease this point difference that they have. Charlie Hustle through the pack again for 4 points. Gouda Riddance with 1 point for the Quad Squad, bringing them to 58 points. Reservoir Dolls up to 18.
I'd like to take a moment to remind everybody to go check out the merch table. Pay $1 for a shout out, goes to support our bout charity, Try for Schools. While you're over there, check out the Dairyland Dolls table by the entrance. You can buy yourself a wheel for the wheel toss. That's 1 wheel for $3, 2 for $5. We'll be having the Dairyland Dolls wheel toss at the intermission between the bouts. But in the meantime, getting back to the action on the track, we have Shenanigans jamming for the Reservoir Dolls against Dark Horse for the Quad Squad.
And Shenanigans being recycled to the back of the pack there. Dark Horse also fighting in the front of the pack. Neither jammer through the pack yet. And it looks like Dark Horse through the pack, but she is not established as lead jammer. That goes to Shenanigans, who calls off the jam. No points scored there. And we've got a couple shout outs, as Rich mentioned. If you head on over to the merch table, throw in $1, you can write a shout out to those folks that you love out there, and we'll read them off the mic. The first one goes to Slyanide. Stay calm and play hard. We love you, your 3 daughters. Go Slyanide.
Looks like we're back down to the action on the track. We've got Mouse jamming for the Reservoir Dolls up against Thrill Show for the Quad Squad. Thrill Show getting out first, going to take lead jam for the Quad Squad.
Mouse still trying to fight her way through the pack, gets through on that third turn there and is eligible to score points. Reservoir Dolls lining up in the front, Thrill Show hitting that wall and turning around through it, calling it off. 4 points for the Quad Squad, keeping the Reservoir Dolls to 0 points that jam. Nice job by Thrill Show and the Quad Squad.
That does bring our score to Reservoir Dolls 18, Quad Squad 62, with just under 15 minutes remaining in the first half.
And lining up on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line, we have Lip Smacker jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, going up against Hammer Abby for the Quad Squad. Both jammers trying to fight their way through a wall of the opposing team. Getting knocked down and right back up again. Hammer Abby trying to find a hole on the outside, on the inside.
Reservoir Dolls having a strong triangle up the front, keeping Hammer Abby back. Hammer Abby does get through, taking lead jam. I believe after 2 of those Reservoir Dolls blockers went to the down to the WORT penalty box.
That's right, and Lip Smacker right behind Hammer Abby there, forcing her to call off the jam. But not before Hammer Abby picks up 3 points for the Quad Squad, bringing their total to 65 points against the Reservoir Dolls' 18 points. At this time, I do want to remind you, we have a great sponsor in the Monkey Bar Gym, where Derby girls work out to be strong enough for Derby. Right down next to our Dairyland Dolls booth there, where you can buy some wheels. We have a Monkey Bar Gym table. Check them out, and they're giving away a free 1-month membership.
Getting down to the track again, we have Sequin Destroy Her taking lead jam for the Quad Squad. She is jamming against Knocking Jay, who is not lead jam, but she is out of the pack and looking to score points.
Sequin Destroy Her through the pack, turning around, skating backwards, looking back to see what's going on and deciding to keep skating. She's going to see if she can make it around one more time and get some more points as her team.
Yep, looks like Knocking Jay did get knocked out of bounds there, came back in ahead of the skater that had knocked her out, so that is a track cut penalty. So off to the WRT penalty box she goes, giving Sequin Destroy Her and the Quad Squad a power jam.
And it looks like that little moment of hesitation and thought on Sequin's part did pay off. turning around at the front of the pack there, avoiding an out of play or an out of bounds hit. Sequin Destroyer gets through for another grand slam. And she calls off the jam. 14 points in that jam for Sequin Destroyer. Quad Squad at 79. Reservoir Dolls 21.
So we do have another timeout down on the track. We are, our officials are working out some penalties. There have been quite a few penalties flying around this bout so far, Dolly.
They sure have. Come on, Derby girls, clean it up out there. I like clean Derby skaters. But sometimes you do go to the penalty box, and let's see, we've got a couple Reservoir Dolls with 2 trips to the box already, Lady Hoo-Ha and Knocking Jay. Charlie Hustle with 4 penalties already on the Reservoir Dolls. Alligator on the Quad Squad went to the box 3 times, as well as Brokeback Jack from the Quad Squad. So both teams playing rough and tough out there and getting called on some penalties. That's going to take our wonderful officials some time to sort that out every once in a while. And our penalty box is brought to you tonight by WORT, Back Porch Radio in Madison. Tune in any time of the day or night to hear great alternative music, news, and public affairs programming. We also want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, the High Noon Saloon, voted Madison's favorite live music venue and Madison's favorite place for karaoke. Check out the WORT birthday party tonight at the High Noon Saloon. If you're not doing anything else. If you're looking for some more community fun after tonight's bout, the party goes until closing with a special after 9 p.m. ticket, which does include 3 rock bands and some birthday cake, all for $10. So check it out at the High Noon Saloon, celebrating 40 years on the air. WORT 89.9 FM Birthday Bash. And Rich, I want to thank all the fans for coming out tonight. Thank you, fans, for heading out here to the 12th season, first bout of the Mad Rollin Dolls 12th season. How many of you are out here first-time visitors to see roller derby? Anybody out here for the first time?
Yeah,
all right, let's hear it for ya.
Definitely seeing a good number of first-timers out there. Great to see all of you, of course. How many of you have seen roller derby before? Well, of course, quite a few of you as well. Glad you're all coming back.
And we're going to get you right back down to the action. Reservoir Dolls Knocking Jay Jammer is in the penalty box. On the jammer line for the Quad Squad was KY Julie. Up in the first turn there, she does get out of the pack and is lead jammer for the Quad Squad. That's KY Julie.
Like KY Julie's going to come around, engage the pack, break right through that wall of Reservoir Dolls, picking up 4 points on that pass.
And Knocking Jay out of the penalty box, it looks like. But on the track, she is playing a blocker there, back with Charlie Hustle, Call It a Wild, and Supernova, trying to block KY Julie. Meanwhile, Mouse, the pivot, is out of the pack, being called not lead jammer.
It looks like Mouse had been past the jammer star for the Reservoir Dolls. And of course, she does not become the active jammer until she has that jammer star on her helmet. So she didn't score any points that last pass, but she was ready to.
She was. KY Julie, though, Calling it off after scoring 9 points for the Quad Squad that last jam, bringing the Quad Squad to 88 points. Reservoir Dolls at 21. And we're going to have Shenanigans lining up on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls. She'll be going up against Dark Horse of the Quad Squad. And I've got a shout out here for Dark Horse. It looks like it's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Dark Horse! Happy birthday to you! In case you were confused, like I was, Dark Horse last year was also known as Lunatrick for the Quad Squad. Lunatrick now becoming Dark Horse, finding an outside line and getting through the pack. She is your lead jammer for the Quad Squad.
Looks like Res Dolls jammer Shenanigans recycled to the back of the pack by Wendy You Wanna Die. She's going to try to find that lane to get through. However, there's a tripod of defense there for the Quad Squad. Now a full box. All four blockers keeping Shenanigans back.
That's right. That's Thrill Show, Sequin Destroyer, and Guacamole in the back, holding Shenanigans. It looks like she was now called off of the track for a cutting penalty, so that'll send Shenanigans to the WORT penalty box. Meanwhile, Dark Horse on the track with a grand slam for the Quad Squad, and that's 5 points. A Mini of Madison grand slam by the Quad Squad. Dark Horse in the front of the pack, one to pass, and she does, getting past Knocking Jay of the Reservoir Dolls.
Yep, she picks up another Mini of Madison grand slam, calls off the jam.
That's a nice birthday jam, Dark Horse. 10 points for the Quad Squad, bringing their team total to 98 points. Reservoir Dolls at 21. And it looks like we've got a whistle, but there's only one blocker on the track for the Quad Squad, and that is Brokeback Jack, helping out Hammer Abby, trying to make her way through the pack. Hammer Abby knocked to the outside and recycled around to the back of the track by Mouse.
Yes, indeed, we have Shenanigans back on the track, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls out of that WORT penalty box. Looks like she's going to try to get by Brokeback Jack at the front. Not quite gonna let it happen as Brokeback Jack, Hammer Abby getting through.
And Hammer Abby waving goodbye to Mouse. Looks like as the jam was called off, right as Hammer Abby got out, so did the Reservoir Dolls jammer. And it looks like Shenanigans called that jam off.
Do have another shout out here. This one says, the Mad Dolgarian is back. Go Res Dolls.
And I've got one here too, Rich. It says, go QS, yeah! And I believe that means Quad Squad. Go Quad Squad. On the track, we've got Lady Hoo-Ha jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, jamming up against Thrill Show.
Right, Lady Hoo-Ha is going to break through, taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls. Meanwhile, two Quad Squad blockers, heading down to the penalty box. This is a perfect opportunity for the Reservoir Dolls to start staging a comeback here in this game.
And it looks like the jammer from the Quad Squad Thrill Show also sent to the WORT penalty box. So Lady Hoo-Ha and the Reservoir Dolls have a power jam.
Lady Hoo-Ha through once for a Mini of Madison, for a Mini of Madison grand slam, wasting no time getting around the track again as her team is slowing down the pack, picking up another one. She's coming around again for another pass. Only two Quad Squad blockers on the track. We've got Girl Friday and Super Youper there. Or not Super Youper, I'm sorry, Supernova.
Oh, it looks like Pied Piper and Girl Friday out there. Supernova on the Reservoir Dolls maybe was out there as well, but now Lady Hoo-Ha approaches the pack, picks up as many points as she can, 3 for the Reservoir Dolls, and calls that jam off. Just what the Reservoir Dolls needed right about now, Rich. That's a 15-point jam for Lady Hoo-Ha, bringing the Reservoir Dolls to 36. Quad Squad at 98 with still 6 minutes to go in this first half of the bout.
And of course, that will prompt the Quad Squad to call a team timeout. So we're going to take a moment here. We'll let the Quad Squad take care of what they need to take care of. In the meantime, why don't you all take care of what you need to take care of? Get on down to the concession stand, buy yourself some food and drink, maybe head on down to the merch table, buy a shout out, support our bout charity Try for Schools. Also get on over to the Dairyland Dolls table to buy a wheel for the wheel toss coming up at the bout halftime, or I'm sorry, the bout intermission.
There'll be an intermission between this bout. We'll have the little dribblers performing for you, as well as a halftime in between the two bouts tonight. And then another activity in the halftime between the last bout.
Activity abound, Dolly.
Lots of great stuff for everybody in the audience to observe, enjoy, or participate in.
Looks like our team timeout has ended. Looking down to the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line, we've got Mouse jamming for the Reservoir Dolls up against KY Julie on the Quad Squad.
KY Julie trying to fight her way around the outside. Steps back in and is recycled to the back of the pack. Mouse trying to get the help of knocking Jay through the wall of Quad Squad as she tries to get through the front there.
And Mouse is going to break through, taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls. Looking back to the pack, we've got KY Julie still fighting against the Reservoir Dolls blockers. She is going to make it through, however, she is not your lead jammer.
Mouse, lead jammer, gets through the pack, scoring 4 points and then calling off the jam, bringing the Reservoir Dolls to 43 points, Quad Squad at 98. And I'd like to thank one of our sponsors, One Barrel Brewing Company. One Barrel Brewing Company at 2001 Atwood Avenue. Beer that's handmade in small batches with love. Check out One Barrel Brewing Company.
Got another shout out to read off here. Says, happy 3-month anniversary to Mrs. Brews from Mr. Brews. I love you.
Oh, that is sweet. And getting back onto the track, we've got Lip Smacker jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, going up against Sequin Destroyer of the Quad Squad. Sequin Destroyer out of the pack first. Lip Smacker out of the pack second. Sequin through the pack, it looks like backwards around the outside, picking up 4 points for the Quad Squad.
Yep, blowing a little kiss to the Reservoir Dolls defense.
Neither jammer was called lead jammer on that initial pass. So that means, Rich, that this jam will last for 2 minutes with both jammers trying to score as many points as they can. Both jammers fighting their way through the pack there. And I'm sorry, that was my mistake. It looks like Sequin Destroyer was the lead jammer. But that didn't come up on my screen, so I wasn't sure. She called that off, as she should have, after picking up 8 points for the Quad Squad.
That does bring our points total to Reservoir Dolls 49, Quad Squad 106 with just under 4 minutes remaining in this half.
And on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line, we've got Lady Hoo-Ha jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, going up against Hammer Abby for the Quad Squad. Lady Hoo-Ha getting out into the front of the pack, being held up in front there by Brokeback Jack. Knocked around, but she does get through and is lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls. But it looks like Lady Hoo-Ha called off of the track for a track cut or a forearms there. Multiplayer block, thank you. A multiplayer block. I need to learn my...
Yeah. Now, of course, the Quad Squad jammer Hammer Abby was already in the penalty box. So once Lady Hoo-Ha got to the penalty box, we don't want a jammerless jam. That's no fun for anybody. So that released Hammer Abby from the box. She is back on the track, skating around. Looks like she's going to start making a scoring pass.
And that means Lady Hoo-Ha only had to serve the amount of time that the previous jammer had spent, Hammer Abby, in the box. So she is also back on the track scoring points for the Reservoir Dolls, but no longer lead jammer. That's right, once you go to the penalty box, folks, you can no longer be lead jammer. So this jam will last for 2 minutes. Hammer Abby making her way around the track as Lady Hoo-Ha held up in the front by a triangle of Quad Squad defense.
Looks like Hammer Abby is going to be recycled to the back of the pack. Going to try to find an inside line. Almost gets knocked to the inside. Does get through. Picking up a 5-point Minnie of Madison Grand Slam for the Quad Squad.
And she tiptoed on that inside line, but got through. Lady Hoo-Ha, meanwhile, being sent to the WORT penalty box to spend 30 seconds there. It looks like she cut the track. Hammer Abby, meanwhile, being knocked to the inside, but gets by 4 points, picking up 4 points for the Quad Squad. Hammer Abby on that last jam, 12 points for the Quad Squad. Lady Hoo-Ha, 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls. That brings our totals to Quad Squad 118, Reservoir Dolls 53.
I'd like to take a moment to give another thank you to one of our sponsors, Chocolate Shop Ice Cream, and add a reminder that they are having a special for tonight's bouts where if any team wins by 100 points or more, then tomorrow all you have to do is bring your wristband to any Chocolate Shop location and get a free single scoop.
Sounds good to me. And we've got jamming in lead jammer is Thrill Show for the Quad Squad. She's your lead jammer. She's jamming up against Lady Hoo-Ha, who started the jam in the penalty box, has been released from the penalty box and is skating on the track now. Thrill Show making her way through the inside for a grand slam, 5 points. Picking up 5 points for the Quad Squad, calling that jam off before Lady Hoo-Ha can score any points for the Reservoir Dolls. And that brings the Quad Squad to 123 points. Reservoir Dolls at 53. Quad Squad taking a commanding lead here in this first half.
Got another shout out here, says, huzzah, rookies, you're doing the thing.
That's right, we've got a lot of rookies on the track tonight, Rich.
Indeed we do, Dolly.
Right now jamming for the Quad Squad, we've got rookie Crystal Ice out on the track, number 32.
She's jamming against Res Dolls veteran, Mouse. Mouse taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls. However, Crystal Ice out of the pack, looking to catch up.
And Mouse knocked to the outside of the track. She calls the jam off, picks up 3 points for the Reservoir Dolls. And that is going to end that first period of the Reservoir Dolls versus the Quad Squad bout. Let's hear it for both teams, folks. Quad Squad ending that half with 123, Reservoir Dolls with 56. And please stick around. Folks, get back to your seats for this live derby action. I just want to make a special mention for the Reservoir Dolls. We have some rookies this year. Supernova, number 185. Cyanide, number 270. And Tenacious D, number 333, that are skating tonight. And on the track, we've got Hammer Abby jamming for the Quad Squad. She's jamming up against Lip Smacker for the Reservoir Dolls. Lip Smacker is your lead jammer out of the pack first, and she is making her way through the pack on a point-scoring pass. She's getting through and picking up 5 points and a Minnie Madison Grand Slam for the Quad Squad. I'm sorry, for the Reservoir Dolls. That's right, Lip Smacker isn't picking up points for the Quad Squad.
That would just be madness.
Lip Smacker, another point-scoring pass for the Reservoir Dolls. She calls that jam off before Hammer Abby can score any points for the Quad Squad.
Reservoir Dolls beginning to stage their comeback here. They are sitting at 65 points against the Quad Squad's 123. So they are trailing by just under 60 points, but that is, again, by no means insurmountable. That really is just 3 or 4 strong power jams.
That's right, but they're playing up against the Quad Squad, and they're both some strong offensive and defensive players on these teams. On the track and on the jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls, we've got Blitz Siren jamming up against Sequin Destroyer from the Quad Squad.
Sequin Destroyer finding a hole on the inside, just shooting past Blitz Siren there. Going to take lead jam for the Quad Squad. However, since both jammers were out of the pack, like right next to each other, looks like she didn't really want to risk it. Going to call off that jam with no points scored by either team.
Smart move on the case of the Quad Squad jammer, Sequin Destroyer. She sees the Reservoir Doll jammer, Blitz Siren, right behind her. Rather than attempting to score any more points, Quad Squad's already in the lead, so she's just going to call it off so neither team can get any points. We'll line it up again on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line with Mouse jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, jamming up against KY Julie of the Quad Squad.
Mouse trying to find an outside line. They're going to be denied by Conan the Librarian. However, she will juke to the other side, get on that inside, taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls.
And KY Julie also out of the pack, not lead jammer, but both jammers now eligible to score some points. Mouse coming around turn 3 and 4 there, hits a Quad Squad wall, calls it off, and picks up 3 points for the Reservoir Dolls. I also want to mention the rookies on the Quad Squad, Rich. We've got Crystal Ice, number 32. We saw her jamming earlier tonight. Also benching tonight for the Quad Squad, we've got return skater Kentucky Fried Carnage back on the Quad Squad this year, and also rookie Stevie Kicks. So we'll see them skating in the future bouts of this season. And right now,
yep, we're getting back down to the action on the track. We have Thrill Show taking lead jam for the Quad Squad. She's jamming up against Lady Hoo-Ha, who is working up against that Quad Squad defense, does find an outside lane to get through. However, she is not your lead jammer.
No, that belongs to Thrill Show. Thrill Show saw Sequin Destroyer, who helped her get a little bit of offense there through the pack, but it looks like she did trip up on a skater there and was called on a penalty. So Thrill Show will go to the WORT penalty box. That gives Lady Hoo-Ha a power jam for the Reservoir Dolls.
Lady Hoo-Ha through for a Mini of Madison Grand Slam, picking up 5 points for the Reservoir Dolls. Pack slowing down to a crawl. Res Doll is going to try to get Lady Hoo-Ha all the time and room she needs to score as many points as she can while the Quad Squad jammer is off the track.
And the Quad Squad defense trying all they can to stop Lady Hoo-Ha and hold her back. They do so for a little bit, but she gets through for another Mini Madison Grand Slam and 5 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. Thrill Show out of the penalty box for the Quad Squad, through the pack with 4 points for the Quad Squad. And Lady Hoo-Ha with 1 to pass. She does so and gets through the pack again for 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls.
Looks like we got Thrill Show still just getting through, picking up another 4 points for the Quad Squad, just as Lady Hoo-Ha re-engages the pack, dealing with a full force of 4 blockers against the Quad Squad. However, it looks like they got a little too far away from each other. Looks like the skaters need to stay within 10 feet of each other. Otherwise, no pack is called, at which point they are not allowed to engage.
That's right, and that jam does end. 18 points for the Reservoir Dolls on that jam, 8 points for the Quad Squad. That'll bring the Quad Squad to 131 points, Reservoir Dolls with 86. And it does look like their jammers are picking up on that first half and really coming back and getting some more points while out there on the track. Picking up a few more lead jammer passes. Lady Hoo-Ha with 49 points there for the Reservoir Dolls. But now on the track for the Reservoir Dolls, we've got Blitz Siren fighting up against a wall of green. In green for the Quad Squad, we've got Hammer Abby jamming, and it looks like Blitz Siren out of the pack first. She is lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls.
That's right, Blitz Siren, once she got through there, she actually got through by no pack being called. Booty Collins didn't quite get the memo, kept engaging after no pack was called, so she goes off to the WORT penalty box.
And that jam is called off right as Hammer Abby gets engaged by the Reservoir Dolls blockers there. Not before picking up a couple points. Quad Squad with 133 points, Reservoir Dolls at 86. And we've got a couple shout outs here.
Yep, got one here, says, to Slamberry Jam, wish your rice family won't get eaten, from Hayden.
And back on the track, we've got action from Gouda Riddance, jamming for the Quad Squad, jamming up against Mouse for the Reservoir Dolls. Gouda Riddance is your lead jammer for the Quad Squad. She just pushes right through that pack, picking up 4 points, calling off the jam, and leaving the Reservoir Dolls with 0 points that jam. Nice jam by Gouda Riddance.
Looks like lining up on that Monkey Bar Gym Jammer line. We've got number K155, that's Lip Smacker, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls. She'll be jamming up against number 1904, KY Julie. KY Julie trying to slide through the Reservoir Dolls defense. However, Lady Hoo-Ha is having none of that. She's going to keep blocking her. They do allow the Reservoir Dolls jammer Lip Smacker to get through, taking the lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls.
Meanwhile, KY Julie trying to get past Sassbot and Lady Hoo-Ha. She does so finally, not lead jammer, but both jammers now eligible to score points. And it looks like Reservoir Doll jammer calls off the jam. Lip Smacker does so after she gets knocked down. No points for either team that jam. And there's 21 minutes left to go in this bout. Who's cheering for the team in green, the Green Machine? Your superheroes, the Quad Squad. All right, and how about for the Crime Syndicate? How many Reservoir Doll fans out there? And Reservoir Dolls have Blitz Siren jamming for them this jam up against Thrill Show, who is lead jammer for the Quad Squad. Thrill Show fighting her way through that pack. She gets out first, already back around, fighting her way through the pack for some points. She was knocked to the outside, but comes right back in and gets through, calling that jam off, scoring 4 more points for the Quad Squad.
Yep, that does bring our point total to Reservoir Dolls 86, Quad Squad 141. We're looking at about 20 minutes remaining in this half, Dolly.
That's a lot of time, Rich, but it goes so fast. We'd like to thank one of our sponsors before time is gone here, Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR, the official beer of roller derby in Madison, PB Army, ASAP.
Getting back down to the action on the track, we have Mouse jamming for the Reservoir Dolls up against Hammer Abby for the Quad Squad. Hammer Abby getting knocked to the outside. Lady Hoo-Ha going to try to defend her way, keeping her back there. Mouse does break through, taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls.
And both jammers starting back on that jammer line while Pax started up at the pivot line. It looks like a little bit of speed here with the Pax, and the Pax go down. Mouse able to get around, but lots of whistles being called there. A couple skaters being motioned off of the track, heading to the penalty box. And it looks like Quad Squad picks up 1 point, Reservoir Dolls pick up 2. That brings the Reservoir Dolls to 88 points, Quad Squad with 142. And there is a timeout called by the Quad Squad.
We'll take a moment there to read a few more shout-outs. We've got one here that says, happy 37th birthday, John. We love you so much.
Happy birthday, John. We got another birthday here. Happy birthday to Strife of Riley from Nicholas, Nathan, Linda, Greg, Jean, and Shay Butler. Shay Butler. Happy birthday, Strife of Riley. Lots of birthdays coming up, Rich. My birthday is coming up this Friday.
Oh.
Next Friday, actually.
Well, happy birthday to you, Dolly.
Thank you.
Like to also say happy birthday to Alligator's parents, Tom and Sue. Apparently,
right.
it is their birthday as well. So, happy
Both
birthday.
of her parents with the same actual birthday. They're just 3 years apart. So we wish Gator's parents a very happy birthday.
Looks like we are ready to get back down into the action here. We're going to have Thrill Show jamming for the Quad Squad up against Reservoir Doll skater Lip Smacker.
Both Lip Smacker and Thrill Show knocked around in the back of the pack there, taken to the inside and outside, trying to find a hole and get through the defense. Lip Smacker finding a hole on the inside, followed closely by Thrill Show, but Lip Smacker for the Reservoir Dolls is your lead jammer.
Yeah, I'm looking down at the track, and I'm only seeing 3 blockers on the field for the Quad Squad.
And it looks like a couple of those blockers were in the penalty box. Lip Smacker getting through the back of the pack there, turning her hips to get 3 points scored. So she probably got past one of the Quad Squad and maybe gets points for the Quad Squad blockers that are in the penalty box. But Lip Smacker picking up 3 points for the Reservoir Dolls there, bringing them to 91 points. Quad Squad with 142. And jamming for the Quad Squad, we've got Dark Horse, her birthday today as well. She's jamming up against Shenanigans for the Reservoir Dolls.
Shenanigans looks like she's been recycled to the back of the track by Allie Gator. This allows Dark Horse an opportunity to get up towards the front of the pack. However, looks like Blitz Siren and Knocking Jay not going to make it easy for her.
Helped up there by Charlie Hustle. Meanwhile, Shenanigans making her way around the outside of the pack, picking up lead jammer status for the Reservoir Dolls. Nope, I'm sorry, she is not lead jammer, but she gets out of the pack first, picks up 5 points on her point scoring pass here for the Reservoir Dolls.
Yes, again, so Shenanigans jammer in the lead, but not the lead jammer.
That confuses me every time, but it looks like Dark Horse was determined to be the lead jammer there, so she did call off the jam before Shenanigans could get around the track and through the pack for any more points. Shenanigans picking up 5 points for the Reservoir Dolls, though, bringing them to 96. Against the Quad Squad's 142. And in a lot of other sports, this might seem like a big difference to come back from, but in roller derby, it can take a couple jams, and we can see that points change so fast. So right now, we've got Gouda Riddens jamming for the Quad Squad up against Mouse for the Reservoir Dolls.
Yep, Mouse out first, going to take lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls. Looks like Gouda Riddens is also out of the pack. However, she is not your lead jammer. Lead jammer is Mouse, looking like she's going to get through the pack, picking up another 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls, calling off the jam. Quad Squad managed to pick up 2 points on that last pass.
Mouse picking up 4 points after the Quad Squad attempted to push her to the outside. She gets by around those blockers and calls off the jam. Bringing the Reservoir Dolls up to the century mark, 100 points to the Quad Squad's 144. And Mouse has been skating here with the Mad Rollin Dolls since the beginning. She's skating in her 12th season here.
Wow, Lip Smacker wasting no time there. She's taking lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls. She's jamming up against Quad Squad's Hammer Abby, also out of the pack. Both jammers rushing around, looking to make their scoring pass. Lip Smacker gonna get into the pack and actually start calling off the jam as soon as she's in there. Did pick up 2 points on that pass, but Hammer Abby picked up 2 points for the Quad Squad as well.
And that was a fast jam, Rich. Looks like the pack picked up speed there as the jammers approached, trying to get out ahead of them, not letting them score any points.
Yeah, that one's just about started and ended before we even got to say anything about it.
And back, let's watch that action on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line. We've got Blitz Siren jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, jamming up against Thrill Show for the Quad Squad. Sequin Destroyer helping Thrill Show with a little bit of offense against the Reservoir Dolls defense there. Meanwhile, Blitz Siren out of the pack, She is your lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls.
Thrill show. Quad Squad jammer does get through the pack herself. Gonna start working on her scoring pass. Looks like Blitz Siren actually took a little bit of a tumble in the pack there. Called off the jam as she went down. Did pick up 2 points though.
And that'll bring the Reservoir Dolls to 104. Quad Squad with 146. And we got another shout out here to the Quad Squad. Quad Squad, you are all so pretty. I love you so much. Love Slayhound.
Looking back to the track, we've got Res Doll Jammer, Call It a Wild going up against Quad Squad Jammer, KY Julie. Call It a Wild recycled to the back of the pack by Alligator, giving KY Julie a chance to get in front, taking lead jam for the Quad Squad.
And KY Julie getting past those last 2 blockers on the Reservoir Dolls. It looks like those 2 blockers, as well as the Reservoir Doll Jammer, Call It a Wild, sent to the WORT penalty box. Meanwhile,
KY Julie barreling through the remaining Res Dolls blockers, gonna pick up 5 points on that pass. We do have some of the Res Dolls skaters getting back on the track, not quite at full strength. Giving KY Julie a little bit of a hard time. Shenanigans recycled her to the back of the pack.
and KY Julie on a power jam for the Quad Squad here, trying to make the most of it, trying to get past Full Frontal Judity and the Heat in front. She does get through for a Minia Madison Grand Slam and 5 points for the Quad Squad. KY Julie around the pack again, trying to get through with Heat and Mouse in the front of the pack, trying to fight past Mouse. KY Julie goes to the inside, travels to the outside, back around again, and decides to call it off.
Mouse does knock KY Julie out to the inside, causing her to be like, nope, I am not going all the way back there. I'm just going to call it off now. Good call there. That does bring our score to Reservoir Dolls 104, Quad Squad 160, with 12 minutes, 36 seconds remaining in this game.
And we'll have a quick official timeout. That was a great jam by KY Julie, picking up 14 more points for the Quad Squad. And it looks like KY Julie now scoring 33 points for the Quad Squad. She is the high point scorer for this bout. Hammer Abby right behind with 32 points. Thrill Show with 31 points. And then their other jammers, Gouda Riddance and Sequin Destroy Her, both with 26 and 28 points. So all their jammers up there in the 20s and 30s. We've also got Dark Horse coming in with 10 points for the Quad Squad.
Now, I do believe an official review has been called for down on the track. I'm not quite sure right now who's called for it, but we've got leaders from both teams meeting with their officials at the center of the track. So we'll be getting back to you with the details of that as soon as we get them. Would like to take a moment to thank another one of our sponsors, the Baldwin Street Grill. Baldwin Street Grill, Friday fish fry and brunch on the weekends. Thursday karaoke night is usually full of Derby girls, so go on down and check out the Baldwin Street Grill. While we're waiting for this official review to wrap up, please feel free to head on down to the merch table. Pay $1 for a shout out that goes down to our Bout charity today. That's the Try for Schools group. Also still have time to get down to the Dairyland Dolls table to buy a wheel or 2 or 3. Those wheels are on sale for 1 wheel for $3, 2 wheels for $5. So as we approach the halftime between bouts here, it'll be time for that. So now is a perfect opportunity to get on down to the Dairyland Dolls table, buy yourself some wheels. Believe we have a gift basket for a prize for that. And of course, all the proceeds will go to fund our Dairyland Dolls travel team.
That's right. Who loves Double D's? All right, we love Double D's. And right now on the track, we do have an official review. I believe the Quad Squad has challenged that there were too many skaters on the track for the Reservoir Dolls. So we will have the officials reviewing this challenge, and we'll get back to you with more information on that. And And I know we went through some of the jammer stats for the quad squad. On the Reservoir Dolls, it looks like Lady Hoo-Ha is the big point scorer with 49 points for the Reservoir Dolls. Lip Smacker helping out the Reservoir Dolls with 23 points. Mouse with 16 points. And then Charlie, Hustle, Blitz, Siren, and Shenanigans coming in with some points as well.
While we're talking about bout stats, let's talk a little bit about the penalties. We actually have a few skaters on the Reservoir Dolls who are getting dangerously close to fouling out of this game. We have Lady Hoo-Ha at 6 penalties. We also have Charlie Hustle at 6. The Heat and Shenanigans are both sitting at 5 penalties for the Reservoir Dolls. Not quite as many high numbers on the quad squad. We have Brokeback Jack looking at 6 penalties on the quad squad. And that looks like just Alligator is sitting at 5 for them. Everyone else is 4 and below.
So in roller derby, during the course of one entire bout, both the first and the second half, you can get up to 7 penalties. On your 7th penalty in the penalty box, then you are removed from the game. It's not the same as ejection for misconduct, but it will take you out of the game. So you don't want to score, or you don't want to get that many penalties. Keep it clean, ladies.
So we do have a little bit more information about this official review. Turns out the Res Dolls did have 6 skaters on the field, or on the track rather. So they will have. So Quad Squad does retain their official review since they challenged and were successful, and a penalty is being assessed against the Res Dolls captain.
All right, Rich. So if you have too many skaters on the track, then the penalty cannot necessarily be assessed to a single skater to go to the penalty box. So I believe that penalty is then assessed to the captain, who will serve that time, and the remainder of skaters will be out there on the track. Looks like in the penalty box we already have 2 Reservoir Dolls, Shenanigans and Full Frontal Judity. So we'll see what happens with this official timeout and this challenge from the Quad Squad. Meanwhile, at the halftime, be sure after you grab your Dairyland doll, and look at Lady Hoo-Ha working it out there on the track for all.
Some very impressive toe stop action there.
Lady Hoo-Ha has very impressive skate action always on the track, as well as great dance moves. Most roller derby girls have great dance moves, Rich. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree wholeheartedly, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if part of what happened whenever a penalty was assessed like this, especially something like an extra skater on the track.
Especially
the
when
penalty
that dance move is the worm.
Got some punitive dance moves on the track. It's like just sorting out a few last details here before we can get back to the action. We'll take a moment to thank another one of our sponsors, Cooper's Tavern. Cooper's Tavern has craft beer, rustic food on the square. So check out Cooper's Tavern.
They've also got some really great poutine and just plain cheese curds. So we want to thank all of our sponsors. They help keep the Mad Rollin Dolls running. Granted, we are a league that's run for the skaters and by the skaters, for these volunteers and staff that run our league and skate here tonight. We also run the business of this league. So we set up the track. We make sure that we've got merch to sell. We've got a PR committee. We've got a charity and outreach committee. We do a lot of the work that makes this bout happen. And we also want to give a big shout out to our fans, because you guys are what keep coming back and helping us to be able to make this sport a reality here in Madison. So thank you to all the fans.
Do have a quick announcement. We have a missing child here. We have Little Shooter looking for his uncle. So if you are Little Shooter's uncle, please meet him by the ice cream shop. Little Shooter's uncle to the ice cream shop, please. Again, this will be one of your last opportunities to head over to the Dairyland Dolls table to buy some wheels for the wheel toss at halftime. So if you haven't already, or if you have already and decide that however many wheels you got isn't quite enough, head on down to the Dairyland Dolls table, spend $3 for a single wheel, $5 for two for a chance to win a gift basket, and to help send the Dairyland Dolls off as they travel the world playing roller derby.
That's right, Rich. And after our halftime musical entertainment, we will have the wheel toss, so everyone will be standing around the outside of the track and will toss their wheels at the cowbell in the middle. The closest wheel will win a prize, so you get a prize for also supporting your Dairyland Dolls. Right next to that Dairyland Doll table is the Monkey Bar Gym table, where at halftime they'll be having they'll be giving away a free 1-month membership to the winner of a jump rope contest. So check out the table there for the Monkey Bar Gym. Check out what the Monkey Bar Gym is all about, because Monkey Bar Gym is where Derby girls work out to be strong enough for Derby. Also want to thank our sponsor, WSUM 91.7 Madison Student Radio, the Snake on the Lake. Oh, look at the love on the track there between jammers. When not fighting off against or facing off against one another, they have time to hug each other. Sequin Destroyer and Lip Smacker going to be jamming in this next jam. Sequin Destroyer jamming for the Quad Squad up against Lip Smacker for the Reservoir Dolls. If you wonder where these skaters normally practice, I'd like to thank another one of our sponsors, and that's Fast Forward Skate Center. Come discover the fun of roller skating. Fast Forward Skate Center on Verona Road. Check it out, they have open skates, and that's where your mad Rollin Dolls practice to show you this wonderful sport of roller derby.
All right, so what apparently has just transpired as a part of this official timeout is Res Dolls skater, the Heat, number 50, has just been expelled from the game for avoidable contact with a referee.
Oh, my. The Heat.
So now the Heat did also have 6 penalties leading up to this. Little unruly tonight, it would seem.
5-0.
So now that is all sorted, looks like we're just going to figure out who the Res Dolls are fielding for this next jam, and then we should be getting back to the action. So thank you all for your patience as we get this sorted out. We want to make sure that everything is played on the up and up here. No team given an unfair advantage when wrongdoings are committed.
Probably just a lot of people seeing different things too, so they've all got to talk it out. We want to thank the officials, our skating officials in black and white stripes, and our non-skating officials in orange. Help us keep track of what is right on the track.
All right, looks like we are ready to get to it now. As Dolly was saying earlier, we're going to have Lip Smacker jamming for the Res Dolls up against Sequin Destroyer for the Quad Squad. Sequin Destroyer wasting no time, going to break through that pack, taking lead jam for the Quad Squad.
And meanwhile, it looks like Lip Smacker being called off of the track for a penalty. She will be going to the WORT penalty box. That leaves Sequin Destroyer with a power jam for the Quad Squad.
Yep, just picking up a Mini of Madison Grand Slam and 5 more points from for the Quad Squad on that last pass. It's like Shenanigans called out on a penalty.
Right as she tries to recycle Sequin Destroyer to the back of the pack, Sequin enters, passes through that pack, and picks up 5 penalties, or 5 points. All this talk of penalties. But 5 more points, that brings Sequin and the Quad Squad with a 10-point jam up to 170 points. Reservoir Dolls at 104.
Yeah, it looks like at the end of that jam, the only Res Dolls skater who was still on the track, not in the penalty box, was Full Frontal Judity. So now at the end of that jam, that means the Res Dolls only get to field a single skater, but you'll note that there's only 3 seats in the penalty box for each team.
That's right, Rich, but there's 2 blocker seats and 1 jammer seat. So 3 blockers can essentially be in the penalty box. You may see 1 blocker standing and another blocker sitting. If one blocker has only 10 seconds remaining, then another blocker who has been called off can sit down in the penalty box and that penalty time can start. If there are 2 blockers sitting in the penalty box and another blocker is called off, she will be sent back onto the track until there is a spot in the penalty box for her to take. So sometimes there might be 3 blockers in that penalty box and just one of the blockers on the track. And it looks like we've got the wave started. That away, fans. I love it.
Will it go all the way around the track? It does! Yeah!
And it's going all the way around.
Can't stop this wave, Dolly.
Even the teams and the announcers are getting into it. And it looks like it's slowing down.
Slow wave just as powerful and devastating as the normal wave.
Skaters on the track and on the bench trying to get themselves involved, but not. And here comes the round fast. And that's it. All right. Thank you, folks. Great job tonight. We also want to thank you. We want to send a big thank you out there to Duckworks Media Forge, our video production for tonight's bout provided by Duckworks Media Forge. Duckworks Media Forge is a sponsor of Wisconsin. Watch Wisconsin Rock, weekly episodes featuring 2 Wisconsin rock bands at wisconsin.com. Just change the sin to scene. Wisconsin. I just came up with that one now, Rich. I don't know if
That's
it's
a good
okay.
one. You should
That's
see if
right.
they wanna
I should
use that.
have that company hire me.
All right, so it looks like Shenanigans on the Reservoir Dolls did foul out.
And so the Heat and Shenanigans will be out for the Reservoir Dolls. Meanwhile, Hammer Abby on the jammer line for the Quad Squad. Makes her way through.
Yep, she's taking the lead. Jam, so witness her. Hammer Abby breaking through again, picking up 5 more points on that pass.
And Hammer Abby around the track again. Lip smacker now through the track, but she is not lead jammer coming in, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls from the penalty box. Hammer Abby through the pack there, calling off the jam and picking up 4 points. That's 9 total points for the Quad Squad this past jam. And that brings the Quad Squad to 179 points. Reservoir Dolls to 104.
Now we do have 10 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this game. So it's definitely a bit of an uphill climb here from the for the Reservoir Dolls. But again, not an insurmountable lead.
And jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, we have Knocking Jay on the line there, or off the line rather. Thrill Show jamming for the Quad Squad has picked up lead jammer status. Right off the line there, she fought right through through the Reservoir Dolls wall. And she's back around the track and through the pack, picking up a grand slam for the Quad Squad and 5 points with that Minia Madison grand slam.
Yeah, it looks like Thrill Show's going to try to take full advantage of this power jam. She does find an inside lane, knocks down Call It a Wild.
And it looks like Mouse came around from the outside there, knocked down Thrill Show. She gets right back up, though, through the pack. Mouse is called off to the penalty box.
And our Skate Crime Syndicate not being terribly discreet in their shady dealings.
And it looks like Thrill Show now also sent to the penalty box for a forearm penalty. That will release the Reservoir Doll jammer, or actually Knocking Jay, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, already released and on the track, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls. Now Knocking Jay will have a power jam up against the defense of the Quad Squad. She'll have to get past Girl Friday, Guacamole, Gouda Riddance, and Sequin Destroy Her.
Yeah, Quad Squad defense doing a really good job of keeping Knocking Jay back. She still has not broken through. It seems like every time she gets past one of the blockers, a new one cycles their way in front of her.
And as one of those blockers gets knocked down or put to the pushed into the back there, they're recycling back around into the front, almost for a full pack there, keeping Knocking Jay from getting through that pack. She does get through though, but not before Thrill Show back on the track, picking up more points for the Quad Squad. That leaves the Quad Squad with 15 more points in this past jam, 194 points. Nice jam by Thrill Show for the Quad Squad there. Reservoir Dolls still at 101 and 104 points.
Yep, so the Quad Squad are currently leading by 90 points. And just to remind you that if in either of the bouts tonight, a team wins by 100 points or more, then tomorrow you can take your wristband down to any chocolate shop in Madison and get a free single scoop.
Sounds great. And jamming for the Res Dolls, we've got Blitz Siren going up against KY Julie for the Quad Squad. Blitz Siren is your lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls.
KY Julie is hot on her heels.
Oh, and she tries to get a whip through that pack, but is stopped by the Quad Squad blockers, knocked to the outside. And Quad Squad picks up 2 points there. Reservoir Dolls with no points. That jam ends. But that's right, folks. If the Quad Squad beats the Reservoir Dolls by 100 points or more, one of our sponsors, the Chocolate Shop Ice Cream, will give any of the fans at the bout a free single scoop of ice cream the day after.
Getting back down to the action on the track, we're going to have Dark Horse jamming for the Quad Squad. She's jamming against Lip Smacker for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Lip Smacker taken to the inside line, recycled around to the back, while Dark Horse out of the pack, past the Reservoir Dolls blockers. Dark Horse is your lead jammer for the Quad Squad. Lip Smacker still trying to make her way past the last 2 blockers on the Quad Squad there. Pied Typer and When Do You Wanna Die? She makes her way past. Meanwhile, Dark Horse around the track on her point scoring pass. And she picks up 4 points for the Quad Squad, bringing their total to 200 points. Reservoir Dolls at 104.
A really nice track awareness there by Dark Horse as she's in the middle of the pack, working her way against the Reservoir Dolls defense. Still has the wherewithal to look around, see that the opposing jammer is on the way, being like, oh, okay, I'm not making any more points here, gonna call that jam off.
That's right, Rich. A lot of times it's really easy as a jammer to just keep pushing through. And on that jammer line, the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line, we've got Blitz Siren jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, going up against Hammer Abby from the Quad Squad. Blitz Siren taking a lead jammer status there for the Reservoir Dolls.
Hammer Abby does end up breaking through the Reservoir Dolls defense, working her way around the track as fast as she can, trying to catch up to Blitz Siren.
And Blitz Siren taken to the outside by Allie Gator. She decides to call off the jam after picking up 3 points for the Reservoir Dolls. Again, good awareness on the part of the jammer, knowing when the opposing jammer is going to be reaching that pack and scoring points. You have the control to call that jam off. So just putting your hands on your hips quickly, making sure that referee calls it off before the other jammer can score any more points. And lining up on the Monkey Bar Gym jammer line, we've got Mouse jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, going up against Girl Friday from the Quad Squad.
Looks like Mouse got out at the front, did take lead jam, got absorbed back into the pack a bit, but is now out and ready to start making her scoring pass.
Girl Friday fighting her way through the pack as well. Not lead jammer, but eligible to score points as Mouse races around the track. Squeaks through the pack and picks up 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls. Mouse looking at the Quad Squad jammer, skating around the track, decides to go for another point-scoring pass through the pack.
It looks like Girl Friday was knocked down to the inside and recycled to the back of the pack, giving Mouse a great opportunity to try to pick up some additional points here. She does get through the tri-block at the Quad Squad of Guacamole, When Do You Want to Die, and it looks like Thrill Show up there.
She does get around. Meanwhile, Girl Friday getting knocked to the outside of the pack and recycled back by knocking Che Lip Smacker and Call It a Wild. Mouse around the track again, up against the Quad Squad triangle of defense. She's trying to fight her way through, knocked around on that track.
Looks like a penalty was called out on Sequin Destroyer. That does allow Mouse to break free, picking up another 5-point Minnie of Madison Grand Slam for the Reservoir Dolls.
And just what the Reservoir Dolls need right here is to hold that Quad Squad jammer, Girl Friday, back while Mouse takes her time scoring points or picks up some of those points pretty quickly around the track. Again, Mouse through the pack for another Minnie of Madison Grand Slam. 5 more points for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Mouse not ready to call that jam off yet. She's going to get through again, taking another Minnie of Madison Grand Slam.
And it looks like that jam ends. Mouse picking up 24 points on that jam. Quad Squad picking up 4 points, but Mouse really capitalizing and bringing the Reservoir Dolls 20 more points there to bring their score up to 131. Quad Squad with 204. Gets us further away from that 100-point win.
Yeah. Reservoir Dolls, picking up, getting 20 points closer to the Quad Squad there.
And jamming for the Quad Squad, we've got KY Julie jamming up against Blitz Siren for the Reservoir Dolls. KY Julie, lead jammer for the Quad Squad, finds a little hole on the inside line there. Blitz Siren being held up in the pack by the Quad Squad blockers, but she is also out of the pack, eligible to score points. And unfortunately can't do so before KY Julie calls off the jam. 4 points for the Quad Squad. And that's just what the Quad Squad want to do if they are ahead in points here. They're just going to want to run that clock down, pick up lead jam, and score more points than the Reservoir Dolls, or keep them at least from scoring.
Indeed, at this point, the
Points
Quad
to get
Squad
up
just
there.
needs to hold the line. There's less than a minute and a half remaining in this half. Really, this could conceivably be the last jam of this game.
That's right, folks. About a minute left to go in this bout. We've got Gouda Riddance jamming for the Quad Squad, going up against Mouse jamming for the Reservoir Dolls. And Thrill Show, Girl Friday,
Yeah, it looks like they
and Dark Horse there
Yep, they knocked Mouse out to the outside, recycled her to the back. Gonna do it again. Can't tell if it was, looks like it was Thrill Show that knocked out Mouse on that one.
And no lead jammer yet.
Yep, Gudaridden's still working against that Reservoir Dolls defense. Res Dolls defense doing a great job. They want Mouse to get through and get that lead jammer position.
They do. They need to score lots of points here in order to take away the win. But both teams just playing really strong defense, not allowing either jammer to get out of the pack.
Looks like the Res Dolls did force a track cut out of Gudaridden's, though. That means that Mouse now has a power jam.
And she did just get out of the pack and got lead jam for the Reservoir Dolls. So Quad Squad lining up in the front. Mouse trying to make that little tiptoe onto the inside. Trying to get around, and she picks up 5 points, a grand slam for the Reservoir Dolls. Can she do it in the amount of time that this jam will take? Can Mouse score points to make the Reservoir Dolls winners in this bout? Around the track again, another Minia Madison grand slam for Mouse and 5 more points for the Reservoir Dolls.
However, looks like the Quad Squad jammer Gudaridden's is back on the track.
That's right, Rich, and Gudaridden's is eligible to score points as well. Mouse, though, will be the lead jammer. Decides to skate it till the end of the jam, picking up another 3 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. But it looks like the Quad Squad is going to take away this game with a win, but we do not have an official final, the unofficial final. Quad Squad at 209, Reservoir Dolls 144. Both teams really playing the game, the match out till the end here. And that is the final, folks. Quad Squad are the winners, defeating the Reservoir Dolls 209 points to 144.
Oh, that was just a really fantastic bout, Dolly.
That was Rich. I gotta stand up. It was great.
A blast from start to finish. So we're going to have our skaters taking their little end of bout lap. So we're going to be gearing up here.
That's right. Let's hear it for the Quad Squad, everybody. And the Quad Squad victorious over a hard-played game by the Reservoir Dolls. Let's also hear it for the Reservoir Dolls, folks. A great bout of Derby. We will be back with additional bouts. Another bout, the Vaudeville Vixens versus the Unholy Rollers. Sure to be just as much fun and excitement as this past bout.
Yeah, and of course we do have some halftime entertainment lined up for you here. We're going to be getting started with that momentarily, but please, this is going to be your last opportunity to head over to the Dairyland Dolls tables to get your wheels for the wheel toss. We'll be having that coming up